Toyota Vets. More or less cash.
It is good to be powered by World Sports Betting. It is goodtimes.co.za. Mamelodi Sundowns 1, Supersport United 1 in the Tshwane Derby. Kudla ngotshiwo ke kuthiwa uThixo uyapha ngesinye isandla uyathatha ngesinye isandla. The referees in South Africa are continuing to be the headline makers in these football matches, and I chose a very clever word actually from the beginning when I started noticing this a couple of years back. I just said these guys are incompetent. Incompetent people are consistent. Today, they will give something that goes for you. Tomorrow, they will give something that goes against you. Today, the incompetence was consistent. There was supposed to be a penalty for Sundowns on Lodge, clearly. He said it's a dive, yellow card. There was clearly another penalty for Supersport United. He didn't give anything on Bradley Grobler. That's consistency. When you're not good enough in your job, you are not good enough every day. Like, it's not like you are not good enough on some days and not the others. Incompetent people are like that. They are incompetent every day. And it has nothing to do with this official from today. Most of those guys, there's always something from the weekend to talk about. And that's a huge concern. Tso Vilakazi, former Mamelodi Sundowns attacking midfielder. What did you make of this game, sir?
Mr. Mkhiwe kunjani mfethu? Ngibulise wena, ngibulise Junior, ngibulise Justice, ngibulise nemakhaya. Cela support njalo la iDiskiTV. Ngizobeka nje njalo ngijike futhi. You know Mr. Mkhiwe, ngizothi mina it's said that we made us coming about referee instead of us talking about the tactics from the both teams. You know, when somebody comes in and take a decision, it frustrates the game yonke. Because now we can't even see the good and the bad from the both teams. Because since the game is dull. Look at the second half. The second half for me was like engathi kusedlalelwa ukuthi kuqedwe, because you could see ukuthi wonke umuntu uyasaba. The referee uzovela tiya ngalo, the referee uzothatha nje eyakhe decision. But yeah, Mr. Mkhiwe, look, both teams for me first half, good first half. There were goals, there were fouls, there were yellow cards. A player that I respect a lot was supposed to get a second yellow card, Pomo Grobler. Before that incident, a penalty because we were in a foul and referee what fouled, and then came a Quebec. You know, those decisions, Mr. Mkhiwe, they make a difference in the game. Everyone knows that in a game, there's a yellow card, there's a red card. So if there's an incident you're not supposed to get a yellow card, or you didn't get that red card. Those are questions. And again, other coaches, they plan according to those things to say, you know what, we force this player to get a yellow card so that we know him, so that he can get a second yellow card and then read. Then now we can shape ourselves in this manner. So Sundowns, they played very well. I saw second half, they tried to push more Divine on the left to go more forward, because what they did was by Bulele all together aside, and then they've played everyone inside. That space was open. But now the funny thing is that Gavin can also use it for the advantage, to say this one, the winger that was supposed to be a winger is inside, and then yes, we are Kupuga out Divine. Let the right back pick him. Get a ball, play la kulungu la pambil, so that space Lesiana, we force the defense to reshuffle now, because Urulano was playing with a natural defender A1, of which was Ukekan. The rest, those are right back and a left back. So how do you expose him in terms of not having natural players in those positions? Yeah, that's coming for you, because he plays according to his strength. So we'll wait for them. I'm a set piece. If we get a set piece, let's use it. And then that's it. The rest, when you get the ball kicking, you don't have time. We've got the game in our hands now. We just need to keep fighting and fighting and fighting. Then we've got a point. Done. That's a coaching yakhe.
It's the same thing.
Mr. Mkhiwe, you know, there's times and places where are we gonna clap hands for certain things? You know, he leaves us with no choice of Brooks but to clap hands because he's playing in Africa Cup of Nations. Whether we cry, whether we celebrate, we make parties or whatever, he's not gonna change. He's that type of a coach who's gonna stick to what he believes. Whoever that comes in, he must be a hardworking player. If you're not a hardworking player, you're a ball player. Hey, Mamela, for you to be in that team is going to be hard. Same applies to Calvin Hunt. Umagaman was a good working player that also can play. But today, I only saw him working until he gets tired.
Yeah. Just a summary, you think he'll be happier than Orlando Mokwena today, like getting a point? Because I suppose Sundowns always wants to win the game, but they didn't do enough in the second half. Do you think Kevin Hunt will be the happier coach?
Even throw a party. I'm telling you, no, you know why I'm saying this, Mr. Keo? Playing against a team like Sundowns, number one, you know, those guys are good. You know, the coach assembled a very good team, a group, departments, as a team as a whole. They are very good. So playing against them and manage that one, he scored. Remember that. That's another thing that is going to talk about, to say we scored against Sundowns. We made it hard for Sundowns. Even they scored a goal out of, out of the box.
Sorry to cut you. So, in fact, last year, they actually, and the Kevin Hunt, because the anti-football there and the inner repercussions are. That's why Supersport, Polugwana 4-1 in the same week, Udlan Sundowns with draw, Shawizandla. But I think last year, Steve Barker, Stellenbosch, last season, they gave Sundowns the most difficult games, but in different ways. Steve Barker was pace and in your face, and they were like, yo, just deal with us. And I was so thrilled with that, with Steve Barker, because it was in your face pace and you had to deal with it. Ega Gavin actually was similar to what he did today, which is, we're not going to engage you until you get to the center line. And we will then start closing those pockets. And last season, the difference is that he had up front, I think Grobler was injured for the most part. I can't remember who was central. I think Ukabuza at some point was there as well. There was a game that they played, and then he had Masego and Maswanganye on either flanks, and then Undlov was so energetic and buzzing as well. And then whoever was central, whether it was Kabuza or anyone else, they knew that they had outlets, so Pumangala Machita. And Sundowns, those players, even if Sundowns commits people forward, those players, it's 3 players that they had to deal with. That was the difference today. Sundowns didn't really have too many players to deal with, because those players, like Junior was describing, Benza, double right back, double left back, because they have to help out their right backs. I think that's the major difference this time around. Well, they don't have Masego, they sold him. They don't have Maswanganye, they sold him. So they were never really going to have outlets. You know, Mr. Keo, but they can still use Campbell and use Ulunduzana Ulungu ngapha on the right, because he's also got speed. But defend. This time the difference is that they asked them to defend.
That's the thing, Mr. Keo, that is always worrying me, is that when you call everyone to defend, eventually at some point you're gonna win the ball. You're gonna have the ball. You're gonna be in control of the game. And then what are you gonna do with that ball? That's why my winner. They didn't have any idea of, or my ideas of good must winner, what are we gonna do? Then they'll kick it, Sundowns get it, and come back. And for me, there were moments where I thought it's like a session, There's a session that we always prepare as coaches to say, I'm working with attacking players. You guys just defend. When you win the ball, you give it to guys. Yes. It's at some point where Supersport will win the ball and then kick it. Then I'm like, but guys, why can't we find a way? If Ulunga is coming back, and then at least Campbell stay there up front, no problem, so that when we win it, automatically in our mind, we know that you are there. You are not coming back. Then you'll give us also a breather, and the midfielders to breathe, to say, you know what, now they've got the ball. Maybe it's 2v3 or 2v4. They'll come back and they will see themselves. In the
Nedbank Cup, we might see something like that, because, of course, we'll be covering Pirates, playing against Hungry Lions, and then I think Maritzburg is faced with the task of dealing with Sundowns. So we'll come back this weekend. It might be that we'll be coming back to matches where one team wins 6-0 and another team wins 9-0, or They will defend, and then I don't know. I don't see an upset, but we'll see whether or not it happens. If it happens, it will be great for us. Because if these teams, big teams, win, everyone expect that. In our videos, you already know. You guys already know that we knew the big teams will win. So why do we listen? Why do we have to listen? But if it's an upset, you're gonna want to listen definitely. It is good times. World Sports Betting. Thank you for watching us.